Club Herrera, or not Club Herrera, but Club over there on the right side when you spawn in is the hospital. So those are the three main towers where your main objectives are going to be. Remember that, the green glowing one, the orange glowing one, and the blue glowing one. And these three main objectives are always randomly assigned, so you never know what's going to be first, second, or third. But we were assigned to the orange building first, but we're going to go to the blue building first, the hospital, because we will be able to bypass the enemies in the club if we go over to the hospital first. So here's the hospital. You can see that blue logo I'm shooting. That's where we normally would go into this building once we do go in there and get that objective. But we're going to fly down here from that point where we would have gone into that building, kind of down towards the left over here. We're going to activate this switch. This switch is only present when the Vibrant Telecom Tower objective is active. So since it's active, it was the first one we were assigned. You can fly over here and activate that switch. And this switch activates the club Easter egg, where a bunch of the grunts and brutes who would normally be fighting you actually dance around in the club. So it creates a cool soundtrack as well.
Go get those troopers unstuck. Oh, and don't fall in love with my voice. The closer you get to a jammer, the worse our reception is going to get. Cat out. Put your wings back on, Lieutenant. We're flying this Falcon. Covenant have deployed comm jammers in high-rises across the city. When I find them, hit them hard.
4 Charlie 27 to command. Request immediate assistance.
Go ahead, 27.
We're at the Vibrant Telecom Tower. Got hunters between us and the jammers.
Copy, 27. Help is on the way. Noble 6, I'm sending you coordinates for the Vibrant Tower. Go get those troopers unstuck. Oh, and don't fall in love with my...
Very tall one off in the distance, and right behind it is the second data pad. This one you can pick up on any difficulty. So fly around to the back half of this building, and on the very roof you're gonna have to jump out of the helicopter again, but you can save your helicopter this time. It's not as precarious.
The closer you get to a jammer, the worse our reception is going to get. Cat out.
What's up, guys? Silver here with another Halo Master Chief Collection Achievement Guide. This time we're gonna need a bigger ship, which is fly both the Pelican and the Phantom on New Alexandria. So start off that mission, New Alexandria. This can be done on any difficulty. I'm doing it on easy here, and we're at the end of the mission. We've completed all 3 of the main objectives. We did the 2 side objectives, and now we have the final objective here in the middle of the map, which has the big tower, the tallest around, behind it, and we find that there's another building hanging out right here. This is the building we want, and we want to go to the right side of this building, rest our propellers on the ledge here, so when we bail out, we could retrieve it, and it'll just stay there. But right when you bail out, you want to hold your jetpack button. That's another thing I should mention. You need jetpack for this. So we're going to land on the ledge here, and then we'll be able to jetpack up and activate the switch, and we can safely jetpack back down onto the ledge.
Your report
and then
will
we
have
can
to
get into
wait,
the Falcon.
Lieutenant.
And landing it there could be a
The
little
Covenant
tricky,
is
so it might
jamming
take a
all
few
comms
tries,
to
but you do
command.
get a checkpoint pretty close
Cat
to
needs
this,
your
so
help
it's not
running
too
a
bad.
counter op.
But one thing I should mention earlier is the fact that you do need jetpack,
It's good to
and
have
you
you
should
back.
grab a plasma pistol on your
Sorry
way
I
through this
came
mission
alone.
as well. So jetpacks could be found
Make
in
him
Club
proud.
Herrera on the ground floor, and it could also be found in the hospital behind the comm jammer. We're going to fly back to turn to the right through that loop, and I'm going to speed this part up a little bit because we're just flying straight at it. And like I mentioned, we're going to fly through this loop, and I think you need to fly through the top of it for it to work, which is why it doesn't work right away here. I fly through it a couple times, and then on my final attempt where it works, I'm kind of flying through the loop higher than I did on my previous attempts. But just fly back and forth and do it through the top of the loop here, and you should spawn in at the bottom of the loop with the Pelican. So the Falcon turns into a Pelican, basically, and you will be able to fly it around the city. Version did. They're social landed here because there's a way off. I got our Pelican. All my fly around the city in a Pelican, and you can see I flew through that time higher than I did on all my previous attempts, and it did work. So I think that is the trick to this. So we're going to fly around. We got our Pelican. So now we're going to fly this Pelican to a rooftop where there's a bunch of Banshees flying around, so that will allow us to hijack one of the Banshees, and we'll do the same thing basically to get the Phantom. So we're going to go over to a rooftop that we decide has some action over. We're going way off of it that it will stay in that general. So we have a Banshee over here, and obviously that's the reason I landed here, because there's some Banshee action happening, and we're going to hijack this Banshee. And you don't really need to worry about getting the Banshee right away. It will stay in that general area where you are and just kind of hang around you if you're on a rooftop, so no need to rush or anything. But we have our Banshee, and we're going to fly over here. I'm going to speed this part up because, again, we're just flying straight at this loop, and we want to make sure we fly through the top of this loop, and that will allow us to spawn at the bottom of this loop with the Phantom. So I think we've confirmed that you need to fly through the top so you could spawn in at the bottom with the Phantom/Pelican, but the achievement will unlock here. And that's it for this one. I'll see you in the screen, and you can find links in the description. Right next to this hydrogen tank, there's two hydrogen tanks. The one on the right, which is kind of health a little more, and then we'll kind of fast forward a little bit. But here we are again at the beginning of the mission. We're going to sprint over here right off the bat and grab this DMR ammo and this broken. Wondering though if it's better to just let them come in slowly on their own time, and then that way there's less enemies in the area that are aggroed in general. But you will eventually find that enemies are slowly coming in, and then eventually they'll start coming in a lot faster, but still they won't be nearly as fast as if you were out in the middle of the open. But you can see I skipped ahead about a minute, and now I've started aggroing the enemies down below. I started shooting the grunts with my pistol to take them out with headshots, and the elites in the area have taken notice and started coming in slowly as well. So instead of just waiting for them to start trickling in naturally, like I mentioned, I went the aggro location when you. This is the process everyone uses pretty much, and it's the process that's the most reliable, I guess. But it is going to take a while. This is probably going to take longer than other guides because other guides are just like, hey, do it as much as possible, as fast as possible. But this guide, since we're kind of limiting the amount of elites you're going to be dealing with at one time or any given time, you're going to find it's going to take a little bit longer, probably an hour and a half. This is the process everyone uses pretty and be like, hey, I was like 200 over 150k. Go over more than that. Go over like 5,000 just to be safe. You probably don't need that much, but just do it. But the other big one is do not die in the kill zone. If you actually do that, you'll be reset to the beginning of the mission, and you'll have to start over. So there's that whole area around this map where if you get into it, it's like a soft kill zone. It says get back in the playable area within 10 seconds, and there's a countdown timer. If you die in that because of the kill zone, you will actually be reset to the beginning. So that would be terrible. It's awful. Bronze Billy Goat did it. He just killed himself that way after getting like 200,000 points, and he had to do it over again. So to sum up those two huge tips at the end, make sure when you die, you just go over by a few thousand points so you have enough to act as a buffer for that loss of points when you die. And also make sure you just die at the hands of the elites. Just kind of stand there and just take it, and you'll get the points. The achievement will pop, and we'll get the cutscene of Noble 6 dying, ? I think he dies, but, you know, there's some out there in the community who say he's alive. But that's it for this one, guys. Definitely a frustrating achievement. And one last tip, if you are playing co-op, you want to be in different sections of the map, because I was playing co-op with some people, and we were accidentally just kind of circling around the same elites and accidentally meleeing each other, and we basically just killed each other. So don't do that. Find your own spots on the map if you're going to do co-op. One of you could be in the nice, safe little area that I suggested earlier, and maybe the better player could take the roaming around the map and being more vulnerable. But again, that's it for this one. This is the last guide for Halo Reach and MCC. I'm excited to take a nap, and that's it for this one, guys. I'll see you later for more Never Surrender, and we're going to go change the song, though, to the Siege of Madrigal remix. And to do that, we're going to fly to the orange tower now where we're supposed to go. And you can see in the distance now up at the top of that building, we have a song where a virus enemy randomly assigned. Main objectives are going to be smoky one, or the one that's obscure. Orange one I'm shooting in the kind of a confusing map to begin with, and there's no nav points since the blind skull is on. So get ready. This green logo I'm shooting at, that's the Synoviate Center. Remember that. The orange one I'm shooting in the distance now, there's like an orange glowing panel. That is the Virant Telecom Tower where Claude Herrera, or not Claude Herrera, but Club Herrera is. And then the smoky one, or the one that's obscured by smoke over here on the right, the tall one over there on the right side when you spawn in, is the hospital. So those are the three main towers where your main objectives are going to be. So remember that. The green glowing one, the orange glowing one, and the blue glowing one. And these three main objectives are always randomly assigned, so you never know what's going to be first, second, or third. But we were assigned to the orange building first, but we're going to go to the blue building first, the hospital, because we will be able to bypass the enemies in the club if we go over to the hospital first. So here's the hospital. You can see that blue logo I'm shooting. That's where we normally would go into this building once we do go in there and get that objective. But we're going to fly down here from that point where we would have gone into that building, kind of down towards the left over here, and we're going to activate this switch. This switch is only present when the Virant Telecom Tower objective is active. So since it's active, it was the first one we were assigned. We could fly over here and activate that switch. And this switch activates the club Easter egg where a bunch of the Grum Towers fly down here, club, first, second, or third. But we were assigned to the orange building first.
Put your wings back on, Lieutenant. We're flying this Falcon. Covenant have deployed comm jammers in high-rises across the city. When I find them, you hit them hard.
Mayday! Mayday! 7 Delta 19er to all UNSC forces.
What's your status, 19er?
We found the jammer, but we're getting hit. Request immediate assistance. Synoviate Center is... Oh!
Put your wings back on, Lieutenant. We're flying this Falcon. Covenant have deployed comm jammers in high-rises across the city. When I find them, you hit them hard.
4 Charlie 27 to command. Request immediate assistance.
Go ahead, 27.
We're at the Virant Telecom Tower. Got hunters between us and the...
But we're going to go to the blue glowing one, the orange glowing one, and the blue glowing one. And these three main objectives are always randomly assigned, so you never know what's going to be first, second, or third. But we were assigned to the orange building first, but we're going to go to the blue building first, the hospital, because we will be able to bypass the enemies in the club if we go over to the hospital first. So here's the hospital. You can see that blue logo I'm shooting. That's where we normally would go into this building once we do go in there and get that objective. But we're going to fly down here from that point where we would have gone into that building, kind of down towards the left.
Copy, T7. Help is on the way. Noble 6, I'm sending you coordinates for the Virant Tower. Go get those troopers unstuck. Oh, and don't fall in love with my voice. The closer you get to a jammer, the worse our reception is going to get. Cat out.
This switch is only present when the Virant Telecom Tower objective is active. So since it's active, it was the first one we were assigned. We could fly over here and activate that switch. And this switch activates the club Easter egg where a bunch of the grunts and brutes who would normally be fighting you actually dance around in the club. So it activates a cool soundtrack as well, Never Surrender. And we're going to go change the song, though, to the Siege of Madrigal remix. And to do that, we're going to fly to the orange tower now where we're supposed to go. And you can see in the distance now up at the top of that building, we have the big glowing orange panel. So that's how you can kind of identify it. It's an easy way to pick it out amongst all the other buildings in the city here. We're going to fly over here, and you can see down towards the left, there's the landing pad where we're supposed to go, but we're going to go on top, like I mentioned, and we're going to change the song to the Siege.
Guys just got on friendly.
And the reason we're doing this is because when you go in here and you only flip the first switch, it will actually have the enemies turn against you once you disable the comm jammer. But if you go in here with the second song playing that we're activating right now, on the top of this building you land, you go under these kind of slanted pipes, and under here's a switch. Once we do that, the enemies will not turn against us once the comm jammer is destroyed. Only the brutes will, but that's easier to take care of when you only have 3 brutes turning against you than the entire room of enemies turning against you. So we're going to fly down here, and there's still going to be 2 fuel rod turrets on the platform here, so we do still want to take those guys out, but there's not going to be any skirmishers, there's not going to be any brutes, and there's not going to be any grunts that we have to deal with, so that is good. But we'll just kind of straight back and forth until we take out these guys. Obviously don't stand still because you'll be an easy target for those fuel rods, and then we'll move in here and land our Falcon and head into the first of 3 objectives. There is health on the wall once you walk in here, so we can...
Secure.
Needed. I think we're in pretty good shape though right now. It's right in the beginning of the mission. We didn't take too much damage at this point. We're going to walk in and we're going to go to the right, and there's going to be some plasma grenades on the ground. So we want to grab those because we're going to use those to take out the brutes before they have a chance to turn against us. So we're going to go in here and you can see all the grunts are bobbing and weaving. The brutes are having a good time too. There's 2 plasma grenades on the ground right there, so grab... One of the brutes is at the bar here, kind of cleaning the bar. We're going to stick him and then immediately turn around and assassinate this DJ brute. And then we're going to go over here and there's another brute at a bar here, so we're going to stick this guy right away as well. That second and third brute realize that I've killed the first brute and react to it, but you should definitely be able to assassinate that DJ brute, and if you are unable to stick that third brute, just keep your distance and start shooting him in the head with your DMR so you pop his helmet off, and then you can finish him off with the headshot. But now I've moved on to killing grunts, and the reason I'm doing that is because I want a plasma pistol, which is going to make it easier to grab a Banshee later on in the mission, and then we're going to grab a jet. From this area as well. There are 2 jetpacks on the ground floor, kind of under where we entered this area from. So we're going to go over there. There's going to be a bar, and we can activate this switch at time, really, so I'll activate it now before we grab those jetpacks. Why not? And then we're going to sprint over, and like I mentioned, we're going to go on the ground floor, and under the area where we came from, there are 2 jetpacks hanging out on the bar, and you can see there's a brute in here as well. This brute, for whatever reason, does not turn against you like the other 3 do, so we're just going to let him live. He could just chill and made our appearance in the club, and we are going to peace out now. But we're moving back out to the Falcon, and like I mentioned earlier, we have 3 main objectives. This brute, for whatever reason, does not turn against you like the other 3 do, so we're just going to, and then we're going to sprint over from this area as well. There are 2 jetpacks on the ground floor, kind of under where we entered this area from, so we're going to go over there. There's going to be a bar, and we can activate this switch at any time, really, so I'll activate it now before we grab those jetpacks. Why not? And then we're going to sprint over, and like I mentioned, we're going to go on the ground floor, and under the area where we came from, there are 2 jetpacks hanging out on the bar. You can see there's a brute in here as well. This brute, for whatever reason, does not turn against you like the other 3 do, so we're just going to let him live. He could just chill and surf with grunt strings over here. But we've made our appearance in the club, and we're going to peace out now. But we're moving back out to the Falcon, and like I mentioned earlier, we have 3 main objectives in this mission, and there are actually 2 side missions in between those. So you got a main objective, side mission, main objective, side mission, main objective, and those 2 side missions are picked at random from a group of 10 side missions. So what I do on my side missions may not be at all what you do on your side missions. So I'm actually going to skip over my 2 side missions that I get at random, and I'm going to show you all of them at the end of this video. So I'll have all 10 listed out and show you how to get to each one of them, because again, that makes it really, really hard to complete. Got the hospital assigned to you last of your 3 objectives. You want to activate the comm jammer and then totally ignore the Banshee. Do not get in it again, or you'll get stuck in this building. So just activate the comm jammer, and then you just want to turn around and go back the way you came. There's no specific path you need to take. You do want a jetpack, though. I'm just kind of messing around up here. You don't need to be up here, and if you don't have a jetpack already, you should have gotten one at the Club Herrera section, but if you didn't pick one up, there's one behind you, actually. We're running away from it. It's right behind the jammer. There's a couple of them just sitting there. So grab one of those, and then we'll move forward over here, and we're just going to jetpack to the top of this section, actually. So just go down here, jetpack up. There's still a bunch of grunts and jackals in this section, but we're going to jetpack up to here, and then we're going to jump and jetpack and crouch, and you can actually fit between the glass here and the top of the ceiling here, so you can kind of wedge yourself in there so you don't have to fight anybody coming up. And then once you get out here, you could grab a Banshee to fly to the final objective, or you could call for an evac and get a Falcon. And with that, I believe all of the possible contingencies have been covered. Like I mentioned, somewhat confusing and not as straightforward as other missions, but that's it for part. That determines where you will pick them up, one of the 3 locations. So the loop, in between the loop and Synoviet, the green building, and that will show up even though the blind skull is on. But you can see here I'm in front of the hospital, and we're going to obviously change direction as much as possible, drift one way, drift another way. The main 3 objectives along with the final objective. Now we're on to the side missions. So I recorded all 10 of these side missions on easy because I just wanted to get to them so I could show you where they are on the map. That's the main thing, is actually getting to them, because there's a ton of buildings, and if you don't have any nav points, it's really hard to actually find these objectives. So I'm going to show you all of them in order of the alphabetical order. So the first one is assist the Pelican, and when you get an objective, you can see in the pause screen here, it says your objective right here, so you could use this as a refresher if you forget what it is or you didn't hear it the first time, and it also...
Copy, Gunnery Sergeant. Go ahead.
The current objective on the top of the screen, assist the Pelican, and that will show up even though the blind skull is on. But you can see here I'm in front of the hospital, and we're going to turn to the left from this point, and you can see here there's a cluster of buildings to the left right here, and we're actually going to too much more difficult on LASO. You have a Falcon, so it's easy to take out all of these enemies that are on the ground. So we're going to watch the Pelican fly away now, safe and sound. And the next one we're going to do is defend Marines against brutes. So we are at the hospital again. We're going to turn to the left, and there's a building, not the first building on the left, but kind of past that first building on the left. We come to this building right here, and that is where the brutes will be, if directly to the right. hospital. So fly over here, take out these jackals, and we will be done with this side mission. The next one is destroy the anti-air and infantry. So for this one, we're near the Synoviet building, and this is the green building, the one with the green logo on it. Down to left over there is where we would normally land if we didn't enter from behind in that ribcage section. You can see the big green logo on this building. We're gonna go behind it, and you're gonna find that there's this big loop of a building, which is kind of unique in its own right. This is kind of a landmark in and of itself. But go to this big loop building, and on top is going to be the anti-air and infantry that we need to take out. So take it out. There's going to be, like it says, some anti-air guns in the form of fuel rod turrets, and then there's going to be some infantry as well. What do you know? We're gonna take these guys out real quick, and that will be that. So we're gonna move on to the next one. We're back at the club, and this one is going to be as we're facing the club. It's gonna be directly behind us. So we're going to turn around once we're done dealing with these banshees, and it's actually back towards the loop. So if you want to just use the loop as an identifier, the building to the right of the loop, or the building in front of Club Herrera, however you want to look at it, is going to have some banshees swirling around it. So we're going to add ourselves to the swirl and eliminate them from the equation here. Speaking of banshees, this side objective is specifically banshees, but there could be banshees in all of the other objectives because they are just randomly flying around the map, so they could add themselves to any of these side mission scenarios. But we are back at Synoviet now. We can see that on the lower left is where we would normally land if we played through this mission normally, and on the right is the ribcage. Up top is that logo, that green glowing logo, and this next one here that we're doing is destroy the jammer and infantry. So on the opposite side of this building, we are going to find, again, towards the loop. In between the loop and Synoviet, the green building, we're going to find that there's a building with a comm jammer on it, and we're going to have to fight the enemies that are on foot here and then hop out actually and deactivate the comm jammer. So it's like a fourth comm jammer that sometimes you have to deal with in this mission. So hop out of that Falcon once you've killed everybody, deactivate that comm jammer, and then hop back in that Falcon, and we'll move on to the next one, which is escort the Falcon. And this is the side objective where you actually have to escort Buck across the map. So there are actually 3 locations where he could be, so it's kind of like there's 12 side missions. But we are in front of the hospital here, and if you look to the left, you can see that there's a building. So right when we're in front of this sign here, the hospital, directly to the left there's a building. That is the building you need to go to if he says need escort on classified op. Send someone who knows how to fly a tight formation. So depending on the dialogue he delivers, that determines where you will pick him up, one of the 3 locations. So that is the one over here where I'm shooting is where he'll be hanging out. So go over here, you'll see a Falcon, and then he'll fly up and through the city and just follow him and protect him, and you'll complete the side objective. One of the other possible locations is here in front of the Synoviet building. You can see we're in the front where we're supposed to actually go into from, even though we kind of wrap around back. But we're going to start off at the top of the front of the building here. We're going to turn around to the right. This is the location he'll be in if he says my guys got caught in a firefight in the Nemolos Tower. Roof collapsed. I gotta get over there and get them out. So he'll be over here on top of this roof where I'm shooting right now. And the third and final location where he could be is back over at Club Herrera, and this is the Virant Telecom Tower. We're gonna start off in the front here, and we're just gonna go wrap around back. And this building right behind it here is where Buck will be hovering over in his Falcon if he says Phantom's got one of my squads pinned. I need to take it out and evac my troopers. So those are the 3.
We're clear.
Not a tango in sight.
Is here in front of the Synoviet building. You can see we're in the front where we're supposed to be at Club Herrera, and this is the Virant Telecom Tower. We're gonna start off in the front here, and then we're just gonna go wrap around back. And this building right behind it here is where Buck will be hovering over in his Falcon if he says Phantom's got one of my squads pinned. I need to take it out and evac my troopers. So those are the 3 potential Buck locations, depending on what he says. But if you
Mayday, mayday! 7 Delta 19er to all UNSC forces.
What's your status, 19er?
You found the jammer, but we're getting hit. Request immediate assistance. Synovia Center is...
Says, or you just forget, you can just go to all 3 locations and he's bound to be at one of them, so there you go. The jetpack for this run through, so we will take advantage. And you can see how easy that was with the... Actually, we're going to land. But I'm going to actually ditch this Falcon entirely and let it kind of fall to the ground locations for those side objectives. So at this point, I've completed my first side objective, and I've been assigned to the hospital for my second main objective. And I'm going to go over there now. The hospital is the blue logo. Remember that. The blue logo is hospital, green is Synoviet, and orange is Byron Telecom Tower, aka Club Herrera. So we're going over to the blue hospital. You can see it in the distance there. It's the tall building with the blue logo on it. And there's also a smaller building connected to it, which is actually where we're going to land. But I'm going to actually ditch this Falcon entirely and let it kind of fall to the ground and explode and kill my 2 Marine buddies along with it, because I don't want them blowing up the Banshees, because I want to actually hijack a Banshee. So I'm just going to bail out here. You don't have to do this as aggressively, but I'm just going to bail out here, and I'm going to nice and slowly jetpack down to the ground here, or the building, the roof, whatever it is. And then we're just going to jetpack over here, which is where we actually need to enter the building from. We are flying at the building and high enough to jetpack because the Banshees kind of fly along the edge of the building, like I mentioned, kind of in a slow straight line, so it's easy to jetpack into their path and just hijack them real quick. It is possible to run and jump into the path of the Banshee and hijack it, but that's tougher. It takes really precise timing because you have to be really close to the Banshee, and you're probably going to fall a bunch of times and miss. But anyway, we have the Banshee, and I'm going to shoot off this wing. It doesn't matter which side. I'm actually going to shoot off both wings, but we're going to push it through the doorway here, because once you get out, or once you get in the Banshee, the door, the automatic door that's open right now, senses that you're not there anymore and will just close, and it could crush the Banshee if the Banshee is right in the middle of it. So I'm going to knock the wings off and then kind of push it through, so when I get in, it doesn't close the door and crush us and splatter us. But it is possible to get through here just by kind of boosting through real quick, but you do risk obviously getting crushed and splattered. And why risk it? We're playing LASO here, and we do want to shoot the wings off to begin with anyway, so we can take it down. We're going to go down the stairs here. We're going to kind of wiggle back and forth, so kind of swoop to the left, swoop to the right, swoop to the left, and then back to the right to go down. But you can see my camera is actually not even showing my Banshee right now. The floor I'm seeing is the floor above me right now. But you kind of want to have the nose of the Banshee dragging across the ground when you go around and down there, so that way you can make your way under some obstacles. But we're going to fly all the way down to the comm jammer with this Banshee, and depending on when we were assigned the hospital as an objective, that will determine how we get out of here. So this trick I'm about to do will work if this is your first or second main objective. But if it's your third of 3 main objectives and you've already done the Byron Telecom Tower with the Club Herrera section, and you've already done the Synoviet section, this will not work. You want to jump ahead to 2230 in this video, and it will show you how to easily get out in that scenario. But for this one, we're going to park the Banshee in the back right, grab the health on the wall if you need it to the left of that comm jammer, activate the comm jammer, and then jump into the Banshee in the corner here. But just stay here, and then the game will eventually despawn the whole area you're in, and you'll know when that happens because you won't see any walls or anything. You're just going to see a bunch of open sky. So just hang tight for a second. You'll know it when you see it, and when it happens, you want to hit start. So there it happened. We can see the cloudy sky. Just hit start and then save and quit immediately when that happens. And then we're going to go back to the main menu, and then we're going to select the playlist and hit resume, and we're going to start it up again. And once you do load into the map, you want to immediately get out of the Banshee. So we're going to load it up. We're going to bail out of the Banshee. And here we go. We've loaded in. We're going to bail. Here we are, and it's actually going to warp us out to the starting area of this section. So we don't have to fight anybody going in. We don't have to fight anybody coming out. We've avoided a ton of headache. So that's the hospital. One thing I was going to say is you might want to do this in this order that I'm doing it in, where you get the jetpack, because that makes getting the Banshee way easier. But you could just keep restarting the mission until you get the Byron Telecom Tower objective first, and then that way you'll know you have a jetpack once you get to this section. But now we have no way of getting off this thing. So what you do is either hit up or down the D-pad. I forget what it is. And I don't know what it is on PC, so you want to check that out. But it's basically the button to call for evac, and then once you do that, a Falcon will be sent in for you to pick you up. It takes a while. It took like a minute and a half, so I skipped ahead here. And then another option, if you don't want to wait for the Falcon, is to try to grab another Banshee. But unfortunately, my Falcon is already weak. It got shot up a little bit on the way in here, but that's all right. At any point, I should mention, you could blow up your Falcon and call for evac, and you'll be sent a fresh new Falcon. So that is always an option, especially if you're smoking a lot and you're finding that you're getting blown up pretty easily. You probably want to land somewhere safe and then blow up your Falcon and call for evac so you get a fresh one. We're going to move over here. Remember that I skipped the side mission, so we're going on to the third and final main objective here. This is the third main objective I was assigned. We are at Synoviet. That's the green building. Remember, it's the green glowing logo. But we can actually get into this area from behind. We're supposed to land on the front section of this building where there's like a helipad, and you're supposed to land there by design. But you can actually get in here through this area. There's kind of a ribcage section in the back where you can fly up and bring your Falcon in and easily kill all the people in here, which would otherwise not be as easy. But I don't.
You still with me, 19er? 7 Delta 19er. Copy. 6, help those troopers if you can. But get that jammer online immediately.
Area secure. Not a tango in sight.
Approaching the objective, please. Watch for hostile fire.
We're clear.
Just kill like the 3 or 4 brutes that are close by, and then there's a jackal with a focus rifle who likes to try to, blow me up with that. So I don't appreciate it. So I kill him too, and then I land right here, hop out, get in this elevator, and we're going to take a little ride. Nice ride up. I like how the music is always different on here too. So you never know what you're gonna get when you're It's the map reflection, the remake of Ivory Tower, and there is sprint right here, which we're going to grab, and we're going to juggle the jetpack over here right in front of the elevator. This is basically something to do if you've done the Vibrant Telecom Tower and therefore have a jetpack already, and you haven't done the hospital yet. So you want to keep the jetpack to get the Banshee to fly through like we did previously. What to do if you want to keep your jetpack after you use the sprint. So put the jetpack right in front of the elevator there. I just grab some DMR down at the bottom mid there, which is always useful, and then we're going to run up to the comm jammer here, and we're going to wait for our sprint to recharge before activating it. Once you do, sprint over here, a bugger will fly out of the wall here, and you just headshot him real quick for the easy kill, and then we can keep going, and we're going to sprint again. There might be another bugger or two that takes some shots at you, but they shouldn't be able to do too much damage, and we're going to grab the jetpack if we want to, but otherwise we're just going to go into the elevator, activate.
You're close to the jammer.
Recharge before activating it. Once you do, did previously, so I don't have to do it obviously because I already did the hospital, but this is just to show you what to do if you want to keep your jetpack.
Destroy it.
The sprint. So put the jetpack right in front of the elevator there. I just grab some DMR down at the bottom mid there, which is always useful, and then we're going to run up to the comm jammer here, and we're going to wait for our sprint to recharge before activating it. Put the jetpack right in front of the elevator there. I just grab some DMR down at the bottom mid there, which is always useful, and then we're going to run up to the comm jammer here, and we're going to wait for our sprint to recharge before activating it. Once
It's a trap. Get the hell out of there.
we're here, the bugger will fly out of the wall here, and you just headshot him real quick for the easy kill, and then we can keep going, and we're going to sprint again. There might be another bugger or two that
It's a trap. Get the hell out of there. Terminal looks clear for now, Sis. Return to your Falcon and
damage.
stand
We're going to grab
by
the jetpack
for
if we want to,
inspection.
but otherwise we're just going to go into the elevator, activate the switch, and then head down. We're going to get into our Falcon, and we will get a final objective. So we have the main three with two side missions that we're kind of sandwiched in between, and then we have our final objective here, number 6, which is going to be kill 6 shade turrets, basically, which are going to be surrounding a big tower. So the biggest, tallest tower in this game, you can see just flashed on the right side.
We're Alpha 3 to command. He's got us pinned down on the rooftop. We need help pronto. Uploading waypoint now. Over.
Copy 1 Alpha 3. Noble 6, proceed to waypoint and give those troopers a hand.
That Falcon, and we'll move on to the next one, which is escort the Falcon, and this is the eliminate them from the equation here, and it's actually back towards the loop from a fuel rod turrets, and then we're gonna go behind it, and you're gonna find these jackals, and we will be done, and we will kill them. Your next objective, brutes. So we come out real quick from this point, and you get an objective. You can see in the pause screen here, it says your objective right here, so you could use this as a refresher if you forget what it is or you didn't hear it the first time, and it also pops up on your screen. You can see current objective on the top of the screen, assist the Pelican, and that will show up even though the blind skull is on. You can see here I'm in front of the hospital, and we're going to turn to the left from this point, and you can see here there's a cluster of buildings to the left right here. Not too difficult, too much more difficult on LASO. You have a Falcon, so it's easy to take out all of these enemies that are on the ground. So we're going to watch the Pelican fly away now, safe and sound. And the next one we're going to do is defend Marines against brutes. So we are at the hospital again. We're going to turn to the left. And there's a building, not the first building on the left, but kind of past that first building on the left. We come to this building right here, and that is where the brutes will be if you have that side mission. So head over here, kill all the brutes on this building, and you'll
He didn't make it, Lieutenant. Stand by. Stand by, 6. One of our troopers squad will span attack to the hospital by 6. I'll mark the location. Complete their mission and take out the jammer. This is the last jammer, 6. You're almost there.
Keep restarting the mission until you get the Vibrant Telecom Tower objective first, and then that way you'll know you have to get in where you don't have to fight any. And here we go. We've loaded in. We're going to the nose of the Banshee, drag, swoop to the right, swoop to the left, and then back. And it could push it through the doorway wall a bunch of times. Just hijack him real quick. We will take advantage, and you can see how easy that was with the jet. At least for this building, pistol, overcharged plasma pistol to stun it and it fall on the roof, and we could grab it. But if we only had the plasma pistol, we would be relying on the fact Banshees. But since we were assigned the Vibrant Telecom Tower before coming to one from a previous objective, we could get one here. Sometimes they wait a lot safer, probably. I'm just gonna jetpack. But I'm just gonna bail out here. Marine buddies along with it, and there's also a smaller building connected to it, which is actually where we're gonna land. But I'm gonna actually ditch this Falcon entirely and let it kind of fall to the ground and explode and kill my 2 Marine buddies along with it, because I don't want them blowing up the Banshees, because I want to actually hijack a Banshee. So I'm just gonna bail out here. You don't have to do this as aggressively, but I'm just gonna bail out here, and I'm going to nice and slowly jetpack. Building, the roof, whatever it is, and then we're just going to jetpack over here, which is where we actually need to enter the building from. You could actually just land here and then just kind of melee your 2 Marines to death if you'd like. That's a lot safer probably. But we're going to go over here, and we're going to kill the 4 grunts that are kind of sleeping in the door.
Drop it in.
Sometimes they're sleeping, sometimes they're awake, sometimes they wake up while you're assassinating them. But fortunately for this run through, they actually stayed asleep for the whole time. We already have a plasma pistol, but if we didn't already get one from a previous objective, we could get one here from these dead grunts. So worst case scenario, you will only have a plasma pistol to get one. Telecom Tower before coming to the hospital. We fortunately have a jetpack to work with as well, which makes it a lot easier. If we only had the plasma pistol, we would be relying on the fact that the Banshee is flying at the building and high enough where we plasma pistol it, overcharge plasma pistol it to stun it and it fall on the roof and we could grab it. But most of the time the Banshees like to fly along the edge, so they're not really going to land on the building if you plasma pistol them. At least for this building, it's not as common for them to fly over the building, but they will do it eventually. So you just gotta be patient. But we have the jetpack for this run through, so we will take advantage. And you can see how easy that was with the jetpack, because the Banshees kind of fly along the edge of the building. Like I mentioned, kind of in a slow straight line, so it's easy to jetpack into their path and just hijack them real quick. It is possible to run and jump into the path of the Banshee and hijack it, but that's tougher. It takes really precise timing because you have to be really close to the Banshee, and you're probably going to fall a bunch of times and miss. But anyway, we have the Banshee, and I'm going to shoot off this. side. I'm actually going to shoot off both wings, but we're going to push it through the doorway here because once you get out, or once you get in the Banshee, the automatic door that's open right now senses that you're not there anymore and will just close, and it could crush the Banshee if the Banshee is right in the middle of it. So I'm going to knock the wings off and then kind of push it through. So when I get in, it doesn't close the door and crush us and splatter us. But it is possible to get through here just by kind of boosting through real quick. But you do risk obviously getting crushed and splattered. And why risk it? We're playing LASO here, and we do want to shoot the wings off to begin with anyway, so we can take it down. We're going to go down the stairs here. We're going to kind of wiggle back and forth. So kind of swoop to the left, swoop to the right, swoop to the left, and then back to the right to go down. But you can see my camera is actually not even showing my Banshee right now. The floor I'm seeing is the floor above me right now. But you kind of want to have the nose of the Banshee dragging across the ground when you go around and down there. So that way you can make your way under some obstacles. But we're going to fly all the way down to the comm jammer with this Banshee, and depending on when we were assigned the hospital as an objective, out of here. So this trick I'm about to do will work if this is your first or second main objective. But if it's your third of 3 main objectives and you've already done the Environment Telecom Tower with the Club Herrera section and you've already done the Synoviet section, this will not work. You want to jump ahead to 2230 in this video, and of those side missions assigned to you randomly throughout your LASO playthrough, so when you do come across those and you don't know where to go, now you know. And finally, this is the strategy you want to use if you got the hospital assigned to you last of your 3 objectives. You want to activate the comm jammer and then totally ignore the Banshee. Do not get in it again, or you'll get stuck in this building. So just activate the comm jammer, and then you just want to turn around and go back the way you came. There's no specific path you need to take. You do want a jetpack though. I'm just kind of messing around up here. You don't need to be up here, and if you don't have a jetpack already, you should have gotten one at the Club Herrera section, but if you didn't pick one up, there's one behind you actually. We're running away from it. It's right behind the jammer. There's a couple of them just sitting there. So grab one of those, and then we'll move forward over here, and we're just going to jetpack to the top of this section actually. So just go down here, jetpack up. There's still a bunch of grunts and jackals in this section, but we're going to jetpack up to here, and then we're going to jump and
Noble 2 to Noble 6. I'm showing the hospital jammer offline. Nice work. As soon as you can, I need you back in your Falcon.
here, so you can kind of wedge yourself in there so you don't have to fight anybody coming up. And then once you get out here, you can grab a Banshee to fly to the final objective, or you could call for an evac and get a Falcon. And with that, I believe all of the possible contingencies have been covered. Like I mentioned, somewhat confusing and not as straightforward as on the front section of this building. We have our final objective here, number 6, which is going to be kill 6 shade turrets, basically, which are going to be surrounding a big tower. So the biggest, tallest tower in this game, you can see just flashed on the right side of the screen in the distance. That is where we're going to go. There's going to be some phantoms that are dropping off 6 of those shades.
Noble 2 to Noble Leader. All jammers are down.
Solid copy, Noble 2. New orders. All personnel are to be evacuated from ONI HQ. Say confirm.
Confirm Oni Tower evacuation.
Noble 2! Noble 2, sit rep!
Copies are hitting the HQ in force. They must have zeroed my signal.
Get that evac started!
Roger that. Noble 6, get over here and cover our evac Pelican. I need you overhead now.
shades to finish the mission. Then all of the enemies will disperse, and we can land on the pad that comes out from the tower itself, and that will cue the cutscene, and we will head to the next mission. But before we do that, there's going to be a bunch of banshees. You can see the current objective is destroy the anti-air turrets. We're going to do that. There's a bunch of banshees that are going to be in this area, so you want to be on the lookout for those guys, along with the shade turrets themselves, obviously. So we can just kind of hang back from the area and take them out kind of at a sharp angle that they don't really appreciate. But they're also at the tower itself. So if you shoot from behind, you're less likely to get shot at, or less likely to turn around and shoot at you.
Command, this is Whiskey 3-5. I've got my eyes on 6 long-range shade turrets in the vicinity of the Oni Tower. They can light pretty tough on our evac
Take out those
they may still take interest in you while you're on the outskirts of this event, but they're less likely to do so. And it seems like there's some randomness to this fight, because sometimes the banshees really like to tear into you, and other times they like to just kind of fly around lackadaisically, just doing whatever, reading some magazines. I don't know what they're doing, maybe some data pads or something. I don't know. But sometimes they're tough. Sometimes they just kind of saunter along, don't really do much. Which seems like the case so far. Hopefully that remains. But we'll see. Got a couple of turrets left over here, and we're going to I'm getting shot at now. Not great. Not great. So I'm going to try to rip and fall away. That's something I try to do when I'm getting shot at. Is I try to lose altitude. Obviously change direction as much as possible. Get one way, get another way. So kind of strafing while falling, so it's hard to hit me. And then also I like to try to get something between me and them as soon as possible. So I was building out between me and them. Took out the final turret, so that is it. Banshees and Phantoms tend to stop shooting you when you kill the final shade turret, but sometimes they still have a few shots at you, so it's not 100% good. So they're less likely to engage you once the objective is complete. But then we're going to flap onto the pad, and that is the main 3 objectives along with the final objective. Now we're on to the side missions. So I recorded all 10 of these side missions on easy because I just wanted to get to them so I could show you where they are on the map. That's the main thing, is actually getting to them, because there's a ton of buildings, and if you don't have any nav points, it's really hard to actually find these objectives. So I'm going to show you all of them in order of the alphabetical order. So the first one is assist the Pelican, and when you get an objective, you can see in the pause screen here, it says your objective right here. So
the EVGA Classified Super Record 2 is an utterly unique piece of gaming history. When it was released, this motherboard and the CPUs inside it would have set you back nearly $4,000 US. Had some memory, a case of power supply, probably a handful of GPUs, had sweet quad SLI action. And we are dangerously close to a gaming system that would cost $10,000 adjusted for inflation. A gaming system. All I can say is for that kind of money, this thing better be pretty darn future-proof. Better be. Would you look at the time? It's future o'clock. So, to see if the SR2 still works, we put together a library of awesome games that still support SLI, and we got our hands on not 1, but 4 of the fastest quad SLI GPUs that EVGA ever built to see how this monster holds up 9 to 13 years later. Like the video if you think that's a good question to answer.
Sit tight, Lieutenant. Already got an evac transport on the way.
Improved stability, a weight capacity of up to 540 pounds, and a 15-year warranty.
The FlexiSpot E7 Plus is built to stand the test of time. Unintended. Check it out at the link down below.
The very first thing you'll notice about the classified SR2 is its massive size. This ain't your mama's EATX, and it ain't even your pappy's XL-ATX. It uses a form factor of EVGA's own design, HPTX, that weighs in at a colossal 15 inches by used an Intel 5520 server chipset. So, as we mentioned before, we've gone with the best chips available for it, a pair of Xeon X8690s. All in, you're talking 24 total threads with 24 megabytes of cache, operating at turbo speeds of up to 3.73 gigahertz. And the word on the street is that if you're willing to risk your substantial investment, $1,600 each, they overclock like wild war challenge. To make the platform more friendly to consumers, the classified SR2 supports non-ECC RAM, so the same kind you would put in a gaming system rather than a server or a workstation. We did find that the support for it was a little bit spotty, especially when we tried to cobble together kits out of older sticks we had lying around, but thankfully, Corsair still makes DDR3, and they sent over enough sticks for us to cobble together a couple of triple-channel DDR360 kits. Performance in dual-channel? Games? Almost everything. Is it cool? Heck yeah, it is! Is it soft? No. For that, you're going to need the new Polar. Time to get this Mama Jama installed, and, thankfully, we've got a solution. The one, the only, EVGA DG85. I flipping love this case. It's going to require a little bit of work, but this case unironically holds up extremely well. HDMI pass-through for VR, a built-in rear door for a super clean look, an acrylic side panel, and acrylic interior panel, not to mention ample cable management. The only issue is that these standoffs are not in the right place, though that seems to be more the board's fault than the case's fault. I'm going to have to mask these off. 3 screws, seems pretty good. Now, something that doesn't hold up as well is the storage support on this board. Modern NVMe drives require a UEFI type firmware rather than an older BIOS type firmware, and the SR2, it ain't got it. There are hacky workarounds involving a bootloader on a SATA device and then handing off to an NVMe device, but for simplicity, we've stuck with tried and true SATA. 2 terabytes for our library of SLI compatible games. Now we need to think about power. If we want to run not 1, not 2, but 4 980 Ti's, I mean, that's 1,000 watts right there. And our CPUs are going to draw up to 130 watts each, so that's over 1,200 watts. Someone who made a power supply. Oh, but okay, you spoiled it. Hey, fine, we're using the EVGA Supernova 1600 T2. And the size isn't the only weird thing about this motherboard. I mean, look at all of these extra power connectors. You've got 2 8-pins for the CPUs, and then an additional 3 6-pin PCI Express for auxiliary power for eventually these devices. That won't be a problem for us, though, because we don't care about cable managing this build. There we go. We chose this particular card because it's a 2-slot variant, so when we went to add 3 more of them, they would actually fit without using risers. Plus, I mean, look, it's EVGA. We had to go EVGA. Can you believe a top-of-the-line GPU with a 384-bit bus and 6 gigs of memory was only $650?
Not anymore. Hey. Made it.
It's a regular family reunion. Keep him. I gave him to you. I'll honor him my own way.
George always said he would never leave Reach.
The big man was sentimental.
He gave his life thinking he'd just save the planet. We should all be so lucky.
Sir, that true about Gauntlet Red and Echo teams assigned to civilian evac ops?
Those are senior-level communiques.
I hear what I hear. Point is, why put Spartans on defensive deployments?
I need that link to SATCOM, Cat.
Chasing it. But this console's got more shrapnel in it than transceivers. You didn't answer my question.
You want to know if we're losing?
I know we're losing. I want to know if we've lost. Colonel Holland, hailing us. What's he doing on an open channel?
Let's hear it.
Southwest quadrant of the city. Over. Sierra 259. If you are receiving, I am authorizing override of radio security protocols to link with this channel.
How long for a secure link?
I can't guarantee secure anymore.
Could Covenant trace it to us?
I could.
Noble leader, this is a priority 1 hail. If you are receiving, acknowledge immediately.
Keep it brief.
Carter here. Yes, sir.
We got movement. Multiple Covenant vehicles vacating the area. And they're in a hurry.
How often you see Covenant retreat for no reason?
Radiation flare. Big. 40 million root guns.
Just lost Holland. What's going on?
Atomic excitement scrambled the signal. 90 million now.
Source?
Airborne. Close.
How close?
That close! First glassing? Me too. Don't worry, I'm on it. Our best option is a fallout bunker on sub-level 2, 96 meters northeast. We get orders from Holland, sir?
We're being redeployed to Sword Base.
Sword? Covenant own it now!
Which is why they want us for a torch and burn off. Keep Dr. Halsey's excavation data from falling into enemy hands.
If it hasn't already.
Maybe, but according to Holland, the Covenant are still hunting for something.
Where does he get off calling a demolition a priority one?
Come on, get in!
Let's go! Come on!
$. Practically pay that much for a GP with 6 gigs of memory today. Okay, I mean, not quite, but jeez. Anyway, we're gonna take a baseline with just one of these cards, then we're gonna add some more.
This is Noble Actual.
She works! It's alive! 2
That
CPU.
base taken out, son. What's your status? Still out. Thermal on the interior shows standing room only. We're gonna have to thin them out or we'll be way too popular. Copy that, Noble 1. Holland out. We got a job to do. So let's
What's up, guys? Silver here with another Halo Master Chief Collection Achievement Guide. This time we're doing This Is Not the Greatest Lab in the World, which is find your way into Halsey's lab on the package. So this is a pretty cool Easter egg. You start up the mission, the package. You could do this on Rally Point Charlie, so you don't have to go through the whole beginning part of the mission. And you do need to do this on Legendary.
Covenant owned this sector now, but they're defending.
Here at Glacier, the firefight map, where you have to hold out for a long time against a bunch of waves of Covenant. But just follow the path here, and we're going to go grab a jetpack real quick. And you can see they're all just lined up on the wall here, so grab one. I'm shooting them right now just to show you where they are.